Hello everyone, welcome to week 9. I've decided to use my executive authority as league commissioner to give everyone a new name. Thought it was time to mix things up a little bit, so from now on the teams will be referred to as follows. First up, the defending champs are now the injured reserve, since I have no chance of winning anything this year, and all my players are on the injured reserve. Next up, the Magic Men will now be known as the Hanging Chads, since Chad is hanging on in the standings. The Playful Flurries have won 2 weeks in a row, are out of last place, and have earned back the title of the Fighting Blizzards. Lawhorn's Lovable Losers is such a perfect name, I can't change it, but I will also be using the Kamara Sutras because it's ironic and I think it's a clever wordplay. Also, I would do dirty things to have a team as good as Lawhorns. Team Auto Draft will now be known as Team Missing Persons, since much like David Johnson, who he starts every week, no one has heard from Corey in months. The Straight Freaks will now be known as Stouty Sunburns. I think the reason is obvious there. The Sellouts will now be referred to as the Sagging Suspenders because Ezekiel Elliott is finally suspended, and I expect my dad to sag in the standings as a result. The Demarius Targaryens will now be referred to as the Jaguars defense, since the Jags D has single-handedly provided Mallow with numerous wins this year by leading the league in sacks. She's also the only person in the league I'd like to get in the sack with. The Big Ugly Guys, also known as the Bugs, will now be known as the Custodial Engineers, since Casey has been mopping the floor with the competition lately, and he also has the lowest GPA in the league. And finally, Team All Lubied Up will now be known as the Tuesday Morning Glories, since he has to wait until Tuesday to find out the result of the Monday night games and his fantasy matchups. With that, let's get into Week 9. First up, we had a Westsider Eldergrad on Eldergrad matchup, and as you might expect, this one was ugly. Since neither team was able to put up any points, the matchup came down to the Monday night game. That means for 3 weeks in a row, Luby had to go to bed before his matchup was decided. It's also important to note that Stouty played the wrong running back. Again. Fortunately for Stouty, he plays me next week, so he is almost guaranteed to play the right people. In an equally ugly matchup, Jacob earned his second win in a row over weak competition despite receiving a combined negative 0.5 points from his 2 running back spots. With this win, the Playful Flurries moved out of last place and have rightfully earned back the title of the Fighting Blizzards, as I mentioned. For not sucking, Jacob has earned this week's Not Sucking Award presented by Dolphin Pool Cleaners. Got a dirty pool? Try throwing in a giant plastic box that will always be in the way and won't suck up anything at all. For winning this week's award, Jacob wins 1 free ACT test. Congrats, Jacob. Don't blow it. As I predicted last week, the Hanging Chads had an exceptional week and took down the injured reserve, formerly known as the defending champs. Coach Chad Shakin' Baker's team looks like they might be back to the dominant force they proved to be early in the season. Next, Mallory took down Lawhorn's Lovable Losers, once again to the great delight of Lawhorn's mom. It looks like Mallory may be the only person who can actually beat Lawhorn. And in the final matchup, the Custodial Engineers took down the Sagging Suspenders, putting Casey in first place. Once again, the entire sellout team struggled with the exception of Zeke, and now that he's suspended, Dad is in trouble. I also don't think it's any coincidence that the sellouts lost the exact same week that OSU lost in humiliating fashion to the Iowa Hawkeyes. Go Hawkeyes! Now it's time for this week's Coach's Spotlight. This week's Spotlight is Corey Gruenwald, also known as Gruenwald, and a ghost. Corey is the coach of Team Auto Draft, now referred to as Team Missing Persons. Corey attended Full Sail University for 2 years studying something, probably, and then transferred to the University of Cincinnati for undisclosed reasons. At UC, he studied how to disappear and other magical illusions. Corey has since disappeared from the public eye. Many of his accomplishments are confidential. However, we can confirm Corey has set the record for most controllers broken in a Call of Duty-induced rage. He is the only other Eagles fan in the league. Fly, Eagles, fly. Caw-caw! And despite auto-drafting for the last 4 years in a row, Corey still has a better team every year than Jeff or Kevin could have. Corey, we miss you, buddy. Hope to hear from you soon. Alrighty, now time for this week's mailbox. First up, Dear Brian, Juan Pablo Davilar is an infamous Chilean who made a series of unfortunate decisions that cost the government over $200 million. As a result, the verb Davilar in Spanish was created, meaning to botch something up massively. Since I am traveling to New York this week, I was hoping you could give me a similar American version of this word. Hope you're doing well, Matias Sotomayor. For those of you who don't know, Matias was my host in Chile. I lived with his family for about a week. And Matias, I think I might have an answer for you. Botch something up massively? Sounds like pulling a stouty to me. It may not be as well known, but I promise you it was every bit as significant. Hope you have a good time in America, bro. Next up, Dear family, just want to let you know that I am still alive. Sincerely, Matt. My second cousin, Matt, decided recently that even though he's never had a girlfriend before, he met a 36-year-old woman from Sri Lanka who has a kid and thought it would be a good idea to go visit her in Sri Lanka. So this is really big news. Glad to hear you're still alive. And that's all we got for this week. Remember, keep sending in those videos making fun of me. You only have a couple weeks left to get that in. See you guys next week.